Dr. Kirkland, your people.
Praise the Lord, everybody. Praise the Lord. Thank you so much for having me on here on today. I've enjoyed the service thus far, the praise and worship. Even enjoyed the testimony of the young lady who just got up and, you know, where God had gave her the vision and she saw everything. And now she's actually fulfilling the dream. I want to give praise and honor to the bishop of this house, the angel of this house, Bishop Baylor. Thank you so much for sharing your platform with me, just to give you a little testimony and then to encourage you, and hopefully it will bless you on the day. Special thanks to the Waller family, brother and sister Waller. They are very dear to me. I claim them as my own. I just love them. And I love the relationship that we have. So for those that don't know me, my name is Dr. Kathy Kirkland. I'm a co-pastor of a church here alongside my husband, Dr. Mark E. Kirkland. We pastor Temple of Faith Apostolic Ministries here in Killeen, Texas. And that's right here in Fort Hood at one of the largest military bases in the United States. And so we retired here. I'm a mother of 5, grandmother of 6. And enjoying life pretty much. I've been pastoring for about going on 12 years this year and evangelizing for over 30. And since this is Dream Month, we want to talk to you a little bit and tell you about what God has in store for you and what He wants you to do. When I want to talk to you about how to create multiple streams of income and the biblical principles behind it to let you know this is what the church and the churches should be doing in times like this. This is what we should be doing in order to be able to build kingdoms. And your bishop is doing a great work. He has mission work out in the Philippines, and I believe I heard him say something about Africa. And this is some of the things that you can tap into in order to be able to be successful in God's house, in your house, and to be able to leave a legacy. This is meant for every saint, every member of the church, every blood-bought, Holy Ghost-filled person that belongs to God. This is what's meant for you. And I believe right now we are in a middle of the greatest wealth transfer that has ever taken place. God gives us space in order to be able to jump in. We've been hearing about it for so long. We've been hearing about the wealth transfer and, you know, the wealth been stored up for us. And, you know, some of us still haven't tapped into it. So I was one of those a while back in 2006. The foreign exchange market was introduced to me by a good friend of mine, Colonel Anthony Smith. And he was stationed here at Fort Hood. You know, we're real close friends. And he had told me about it. He came by the house and, you know, we sat down for 8 hours where he's trying to show me how the market moves and what all we need to be doing. But the thing was, I was a real estate agent. And so when the real estate market crashed, my whole world crashed right along with it, including my 401k. Now, guys, you know that we are in the middle of a pandemic. I was not recession-proof during that time. I was not recession-proof. So I didn't know what to do. I had 4 kids in college, a 4-year-old, a husband who's just retiring out of the military, and we were living off a half a check. I lost all my rental property. I'm just giving you a quick testimony of where I come from and where I'm at now, and how God led me all the way through, and how He's going to lead you to do even greater works. And so when the real estate market crashed back in 2000, you remember the Great Recession back in 2008, when the real estate market crashed, because I did not walk through that door when the door was open for me, I struggled for 10 years. So I knew the next time, same position that I was in. I thought I had invested into something that everybody, was a place to stay. So I invested into the real estate market, and the real estate market is really good, but I had all my eggs in one basket. So when the real estate market crashed during that last recession, I lost all of my rental properties. I had a business called First Impressions Properties. I lost all my rental property, and my house that I'm currently staying in now was going into foreclosure. I became a squatter in my own house because I knew the real estate laws, but I became a squatter in my own house so God could figure it out, because when He blessed me with it, He said, yeah and amen. And I did not mistake that. I heard that. And I was about to lose my car, my Mercedes. I was about to lose it. And you know how we do. I hid my car because I was trying to help God figure it out. Because when I bought that car, I was not going to give it back. So I was praying and asking God. I was like, God, I'm looking at the rich get wealthier. And I'm looking at my situation. And, and I'm blood bought. I gave my life to you. I'm a giver. I'm a tither. In your word, you said. Sometimes you got to go back and minister back to God. You remember in Deuteronomy where he said he separated you and put you in the wilderness so that you can minister back to him and tell him what the word was. And that's exactly what I was doing. I was ministering back to God. I brought that word back. I was like, God, I've been serving you. I've been giving. I've been doing the best that I knew how to do. I need help. I need you to help me. I'm about to lose everything. We're about to be homeless. And I heard David said that he had never seen the righteous forsaken nor the seed begging bread. I was like, God, I'm not saying I'm the most righteous, but I got your blood, so that got to be something. And it was to the point to where I couldn't even feed my kids. My kids were away in college, but it wasn't their fault that we wasn't recession proof. It wasn't their fault. We had 4 kids in college at the same time because we were having babies back to back, at the time. But all 4 of them was in school at the same time. I'm telling you how God can provide and how he will do for you. And it's a blessing that you have a bishop that want to set aside a dream month to let you know that your vision have to stay in front of you at all times. If you don't keep your vision in front of you, you will sidetrack off, you will bender off, going the wrong way because Satan don't want you to get to that vision part. He don't want you to get to that promise that God told you. God didn't tell you what all you was gonna have to go through in order to get to the end, but you gotta finish this race. This is what the saints are supposed to be doing. I couldn't even feed my kids. I had my children, I had them separated in 2s. I had 2 at one college, and the 2 youngest at one college, and the 2 oldest at another one. And they were at the school, and I had them befriending people at the local restaurants there, so that when they closed down, that they didn't throw away the food, that they would give it to them. And as a mother, that hurts. And as a father, that hurts even more. My husband had been gone, for a while. He did 25 years in the military, and he missed a lot, and he was gone a lot. And so he had to take a job contracting overseas. Now, keep in mind, he had broke his back. And so he had to go back to work in order to be able to provide. And I had to find a way in order to get this together, but he hadn't got the job yet, and so we still trying to figure it out. And so we had my son befriending people, and my daughter at the local restaurants at the college at Stephen F. Austin. That's where they went to school at, Stephen F. Austin in Nacogdoches, Texas. Had them befriending people at Taco Bell, Cane's, little places like that. Even tried to make it so it wasn't so depressing for them. Have house parties on the weekend. Tell your friend to bring hot dogs, one bring the buns, one bring the cups. You know how college students, they're struggling. And they couldn't even, have a meal plan at the college. So they had people coming over, and the rule was you leave everything at the house. And so when everybody came, I was like, you sit you something aside for tomorrow, take no thought, or, God gonna provide. We're gonna figure it out. I couldn't even afford to even buy body wash so that they could clean up. I had my son befriending the maids at the hotel. My daughter was half shamed to do it, but my son wasn't. He had no shame. He still don't have no shame. But he befriended the people at the local hotel so that they can have body wash to wash up until we could figure something out. And so I had a 4-year-old. I couldn't even afford a $6 pair of jeans for my child. Now, we're tall. I'm 6 feet tall. My husband is 6'3". And so my baby is tall. She is the tallest one in kindergarten. So she already stands out. So this is what I'm telling you. God will make you stand out in a big crowd just so that he could bless you. My baby she stood out. Her pants was too short. And, kids are brutally honest. They picked at her, they laughed at her, everything. So I was able to get her some boots. I would always fold her pants up so people couldn't tell that they were too short or anything like that. Trying to make it, trying to survive, trying to keep my head up. And on top of that, we had just started a church in 2009. And here it is, 2008, 2010. and we struggling and we're going through. I don't know if you remember when the churches during the last recession, a lot of churches, the doors got shut down, and the padlocks was on the doors, and some of the bigger churches were calling the smaller churches to get donations so that they can keep the mortgage, because that money was coming due, and we were in a recession. People had lost jobs, just like now. They had lost jobs and everything, and so we were struggling. And I was like, God, when I had money, now this is how God worked. When I had money to start a church and to do all these things, you didn't say nothing. You waited until we didn't have no more money. We could barely eat. And this is how God works. So you won't get no glory out of it. At the time, I didn't see any of this. And I'm on here and I'm like, God, you know, and I'm praying. And Satan will test your faith. And patience is going to have her perfect work. And so, and I'm like, God, I can't this. And, I'm telling God everything I can't do, because flesh was involved. And I did not ask God, what can you do? And I already know that God can do all things. There is what God can't do is fail. God will never fail you. So, I'm sitting there and I'm squatting in my own house and I'm trying to figure it out. So I called a good friend of mine and I just broke down and I called her. I didn't tell her my whole situation. I just said, I called Dr. Jewel Tanker. Many of you know her. She's Ben Tanker's wife, the gospel recording artist, Grammy Award winning, artist, the one who discovered Yolanda Adams, and she's has her own talk show, the Jewel Tinker Talk Show on Impact Network, all around good friend. So I called her and I noticed that her lifestyle didn't change. And you know how David said, my foot almost slipped when I seen the prosperity of the wicked. And no, my friend is not wicked, but I'm saying I'm looking at everybody prosper but me, and I'm trying to figure out what is that one thing that I lack. And so I call my friend Dr. Jewel, and I was like, hey, I noticed, yes, she had the reality TV show. I noticed that your lifestyle hadn't changed. What are you doing? And she said, well, listen, I just found out about I Am Mastery Academy. I want you to come down. I'm flying down to Dallas. Meet me in Dallas. And we're going to learn how to trade Forex. And I was like, what is Forex? I didn't know what Forex was. And she was like, the foreign exchange market. And then it clicked. Colonel Smith told me about this, back in 2008. So I'm like, okay, I didn't want my rich friend to know that I was broke and was about to lose everything. I didn't even have gas money to get to the event. So I took the church van. I was like, I'm going to take the church van. I took the church van and I went down there. And then I realized there was a shift immediately when I walked in the room. You know how God shifts you from one place to another place to another place? I shifted. In my spirit, I knew I was in the right place, and I'm sitting there. And sometimes when God placed you in a place, you need to just be quiet and listen. So I'm listening to the testimonies and everything of these millennials that's coming in. I'm listening to the testimonies of how they, and listen, past results don't guarantee future results. I'm testifying, I'm telling you what I heard and telling you how God moved on me. And so when I went there and I was listening to the testimonies, I'm listening to a 19, 20-year-old talk about how she quit her job in 2 days because, her dad got in an accident and she needed to learn how to trade. She quit her job and she had made $70,000 in 2 days trading the foreign exchange market. And then one guy, he was testifying, talking about how he had made $100,000 in a month. And here I am. I can't even afford McDonald's. You hear me? I can't even afford McDonald's. And so me and Dr. Joe, we were sitting there looking at each other, and one baby got on the stage and he even did a little YouTube video. I don't recommend anybody doing that, but he wanted to show people that he actually made this. He went into the bank and withdrew $450,000 and took it home, put it in a duffel bag or a gym bag and showed everybody the money. And he did it in 90 days. And I'm like, Okay, me and Dr. Joe looked at each other at the same time, and we were like, we need to get our life together. We need to do it like right now. And so I was so excited. And when I came out of there, and I realized I was sitting in the room with millionaires, multimillionaires, and billionaires. One billionaire at the time. My whole circle had changed. So sometimes if you want what other people have, you want to learn how to do what the other people have so that you can be famous, not famous, but so that you can be prosperous and so that you can get the things that you need without struggling. You got to hang out with them that know what they're doing and have what you got so you can learn from them. So I'm so excited, and I had $200 in my name, $200 in the bank. And I had $2,000 left over for my 401k. And like Bishop was saying, if you don't have enough in your hand to do what you need to do, try God. And so that's what I did. I tried God. I was so excited. I had, I signed up, and it's an educational platform. They teach you how to trade. They teach you how to trade foreign currency. Foreign currencies, this is not like the stocks. You can trade the stocks when they go up. You're doing good. When it comes down, you just got to wait for it to go back up if that's what you bought. So in the foreign exchange market, it's exchanging one currency for another currency. So guys, for those that are just tuning in, I'm just giving you a testimony of how I made it, how I got started. And this is your month, abundance month, where you're learning how to do business even the more. And I just want to give you my testimony of how God blessed me and blessed my church at the same time. So I'm so excited. I leave that place and I come running home. And what I do, I go back to my circle. My circle of friends was broke, busted, and disgusted like I was. I come back to my circle and I begin to tell them what I had learned and that we need to trade and everything. And what did they do? They shot me down. Because we have been taught to go to school, get a good education, and get a good job. Where you're tied down at your job from 9 hours to 12 hours a day. Your kids are in the daycare for a minimum of 10 hours a day. And other people are raising your children, and you're not. You don't have the freedom to go to the bathroom when you want. You don't have the freedom to go to work. Go to lunch when you want. You can't take a break unless they tell you can take a break. I am so sorry for that. All this dinging, everybody's kind of contact when you close that out. And so we went to school to get a good job. You go to school for 12 years just so that they can say you qualify to work for minimum wage. You go to school for 12 years. And then if you want to make more than minimum wage, what do? You go back to college for 4 more years just so that you can make about $3 more than minimum wage. And then if you want to master something, you go back to school for another 18 months just so you can make more than something that you specialize in. I even have a PhD. I have 4 degrees and I don't work in none of them because I kept going to school to get a good job. A good job, just over broke. Your job would never make you as rich as the owner of the company. Your job would never do that. So when I was telling them about it, I was like, no, you need to get a job. That's why I went back to school to get a PhD, so I could get a good job. And my degree is in philosophy, so I love to talk. So I was like, no, I was just around these people. And we only come back to them. And sometimes you can't take Lot with you. You have to make the first move and the first decision. And so I came back to bring Lot right along with me. And they didn't want to come. They didn't want to go. And so I'm like, okay, I got discouraged because I was talking to my friends that I have known for 25 years, 10 years, 5 years, 2 years. It's familiar to me. But God had just placed me in a circle of people that I had been dreaming about for the longest. You have a circle. We are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses. You have Bishop Baylor. You got Mike Waller. You got other great entrepreneurs, the new lady, the young lady that came up, and her testimony. You are surrounded by people that can help take you to the next level if you want to go. So I came home and I literally got in my prayer closet because I'm about to lose my house. I'm about to lose my mind at the same time because I can't feed my kids. I can't pay my bills. And it's something when you can't do or provide for your kids or your family. And I knew God had more, because if it wasn't, he would have never written it. Had it written in the word, I knew it had to be more. And so, and I'm sitting there and I'm in my prayer closet, literally in my closet, in my room, and I'm crying out and I'm praying. And I was like, I'm mad one minute, I'm depressed the next minute. All my emotions was going, and God didn't say not one word. Now, either you're going to trust him or you ain't going to trust him. So something told me to be quiet. And I did. When I closed my mouth for a minute because I had nothing else to say, I was all cried out and I didn't know what to do. I just, how when you finally surrender to God and you give him your all and you lay that thing on the altar, then God will start moving for you. God said one word. He said to the Good News Translation, just paraphrasing it real quick. The Good News Translation states, it is good to enter into foreign trade because you never know what bad luck this world is going to give you. And you need a minimum of 7 streams of income in order to survive. Not 7 jobs, not 2 jobs, not 3 jobs. You need 7 streams of income in order to survive. So that was my confirmation, because I was getting ready to back out of it because my circle said it was a scam. This circle said this is how you're going to get rich. Rich people do a lot of talking, but the wealthy whisper. And when I was at that meeting, wealthy people was whispering some good knowledge in my ear. And it goes back to when Elijah was surrounded by the storm. He didn't hear God in the windstorm. He didn't hear him in the earthquake or what have you. He heard that small, still voice. And that's what God spoke to me. Ecclesiastes 11:1. So I got up, I logged on to the academy, and they teach you how to copy and paste. We copy and paste. The saints copy and paste all the time. All the time. You copy and paste in Jesus Christ. You copy in the walk of God. You copy in the disciples going out telling everybody, turning this world upside down. So he said it's the same concept. Get on there and copy whatever they tell you to do. So I had $40. That's all I put in there because at the time that's all my faith could afford and that's all my pocket could afford. I had $40. I put that $40 into a broker's account. I logged on to I Am Mastery Academy. And there was 2 educators at that time that was helping the owner, Chris Patera, helping the owner of the company. I logged on. Now, I did pray. Now, I'm going to tell y'all that I pleaded the blood of Jesus. There was some anointed teachers that night. I was like, the blood of Jesus, God, don't let me lose this $40. That was like $40,000 to me. I said, don't let me lose this $40. I was like, and I plead, don't let them call the wrong signals or the wrong trades or nothing like that. And so I put $40 in the market. I'm telling you, when God says it's good to enter into foreign trade, it's good. Now, even though Solomon was the wisest man that ever lived and the richest man that ever walked this earth. And God said after him, it wasn't going to be another one. So if Solomon entered into foreign trade and he shipped his boats out seven different ways, and after many days, it came back to him in profit. So I was sitting there and I was praying over him. I was like, the blood, Jesus. I had gospel music going, everything. I was going to set the atmosphere to make sure I won. And so I had put the $40 in there. I don't know what it was that they called at that time. And I bought it. Now, I knew how to compound interest. I knew how to make my money grow. I just didn't know in what aspect. So I knew 10 pips was guaranteed just from my reading. So I just only did 10 pips. And as it was going up, I continued to, add more to it. So literally in 1 hour, my $40 turned into $500. So I'm screaming. I'm all over the place. You can tell me I wasn't anointed, that I didn't hear from God, that this wasn't a blessing from God. I'm running around the room and I'm screaming, yes, yes, oh my God, I'm rich, I'm rich. And my husband was like, this is about 9:30 at night. And he was like, what is you hollering for? What is wrong with you? And I said, I just made $500 and I did it from my phone, from my cell phone. You can actually do this from your phone. Technology is here. So, and he was like, what? You made $500? Now, this was a non-believer at the time, Cat. You better be blowing no money. That's gambling and all this and that. I said, no, this is what these wealthy people said. They have millions. We have none. I'm going to at least try it. So, and he was like, what? You made $500? You better get this money. Get that money. And I was like, yeah, I'm getting it back. He said, no, literally, take that money out because we got to pay this electric bill. I was like, no. They said, so long, because it was my $40. And so I remember that the owner of the company, this is why I was so impressed. What billionaire that that get out of their bed at 1 o'clock in the morning to teach you how to trade? Listen. This is what the banks do from midnight to 5 a.m. every morning. They trade your account. They sweep, it's called a sweep account at your bank. They have a sweep account where they sweep everybody's money that's in their account at midnight every night until 4 a.m., 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And they trade it in the foreign exchange market. You can ask Mr. Waller. Brother Waller. They trade it in the foreign exchange market every single night. Check cash by Friday at 3 p.m. You couldn't get it until Tuesday morning at 4 a.m. That's because the market closes on Fridays at 3. And they hold your money, and at midnight, Monday morning, they're trading your money Monday morning and Tuesday. And after they finish at 4 o'clock, you can get the money that your check put in there, but they've already made money off of you. This is why they charge you fees if you don't put money into your account, because they can't make money unless they're using your money. So now I'm up with the owner of the company. He's a billionaire. We put a few trades in. We went to sleep and woke up. It was 7. When I woke up about 6 something, I had $1,000. In 8 hours, my $40 turned into $1,000. So I remember what Solomon said. I took that money, I divided it up into 7 different accounts. And whatever I traded in one, I traded in all. Listen, let me give you a little back history. Forex has been around since 4 AD. If it wasn't so, it first started traded in Jerusalem. The first recession happened when Joseph had the dream of 7 years of plenty and the 7 years of lean. Every 7 to 10 years, we hit another recession. Since the revolution, when they broke off from Great Britain and came over here to start America, right after the war, we went into a recession. And then for those that need scripture, and I hear it all the time, y'all a church, you're a pastor, you ain't got no business, telling nobody about it. But listen, the world have been telling you wrong all this time. So who better to teach you and tell you how to spend your money? Okay, so in Matthew 25, y'all remember the talents in Matthew 25, verse 14? It says the kingdom of heaven is like a man traveling into a foreign country who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. Verse 15 talks about it, and unto one he gave 5 talents, and unto 2 he gave another, and unto 1, he gave 5, 10, and he gave 1. He gave 1 talent. Now this is God coming to his servants, and he's given them the talents to go out and sow. So when he came back, he came back, the one who had 5 double theirs, and he said, well done. Y'all go look at it, Matthew 25. And he said, well done, and God gave him more. All God was coming back was for the tithe. He said he was coming back for the increase, and the increase is the tithe. You have to give your tithe. And so when he went to the one who had 10, they had double theirs, and he said, well done, and God entered into covenant with them. So pretty much he entered into partnership with them. So in anything that you tie yourself into, make sure God blesses off on it, because that's the only way that you're going to prosper. So God is showing them. And then the one who had 1 talent, everybody say 1. There's always that one brother, that one sister, that one cousin, that one saint, that one person that just can't get right. He took his, in the latter part of verse 25, 26, I believe, he took his, I think it was in 25, he said, and I was afraid, and I hid my talent in the earth. That thou hast, that is thine. So he hid his, and he had the nerve to tell God, I knew you will come back reaping where you have not sown, because you're a hard taskmaster, so I hid it. God said in Matthew 26 and 27, he said, if you had gave the money to the exchangers, I could have came back for the increase. If you had gave the money to the exchangers, he's talking about the foreign exchange market. This came out of God's mouth. And so he took that 1 talent from him. If you don't use the gift, like that baby said earlier, if you do what he tell you to do, he's going to take it from you and give it to somebody else. He gave it to the one who had 10, and they went out and they multiplied. And then he cast him into outer darkness, because he was an unprofitable servant. You don't want to be that unprofitable servant. You're going to keep going around that mountain over and over again. Now, I got a lot of flack when I first started trading, and I was trying to get people in it because they didn't understand. It's because of lack of understanding. You got to, in all you're getting, get an understanding. And so I'm just like Paul. And when you out doing the work, and this is for every church needs to be trading. And I'm going to tell you why in a few minutes. But Paul said that in 1 Thessalonians 2 and 9, the Amplified Version states this. He said that we practice in our trades daily, so that we would not be a financial burden unto the people, so that they will freely receive the gospel. To me, this is why every church should be trading. Now, this is coming out of the book of Kathy, chapter 2, verse 5. Every church needs to be trading. Every church, every house needs to be backed by the foreign exchange market. The banks will rip you off and give you a high interest rate if your credit ain't that good. And matter of fact, the 3 credit bureaus was never meant to judge your credit. It was meant to keep the black people from getting credit. That's a whole nother class. So if Paul said that I practice in my trades daily, so that wouldn't be a financial burden unto the people, so that they could freely receive the gospel. And Paul was one of the greatest disciples there ever was. And he's talking about trading foreign currency. You need to be trading. So after I got that $1,000, I took it because Solomon said we needed 7 streams of income. I divided it up into 7 accounts. And whatever I traded in one account, it went into all of them. Mike can tell you about it. It went into all of them. And if I made $1,000 that day, I made $7,000 across the board. I labeled one to pay off, to get my car to repossession, pay my Mercedes CLS $500 off. I labeled another one to get my house out of foreclosure, to pay off things that's on my credit report, to purchase land for our church, to redo some things here at the house. And I had to buy gold and silver, and then I had an investment account set up to where I could take money from there and invest it, so that I wouldn't take any money out of our house. A Proverbs 31 woman, let me paraphrase for all you women out here. For Proverbs 31 says that the latter part, when her children rise up, they call her blessed. She gathered all her things. She made breakfast for the handmaiden. and I'm gonna paraphrase right now. She made breakfast for her maids, the chef, the nanny, the caretaker, the one who cut the grass, all the above, her husband, and she sat them down and she gave out instructions for that day. And then later on in that chapter, it says that she gathered all her things and she went into the market and she traded. And her husband looked good amongst the elders. So whatever is being brought into your house, ladies, to where you can stay at home and help take care of your kids, or you can go out, build a career, build a business, or whatever. Not saying that you necessarily have to stay at home, but in order for you to be able to spend more time with your children, you need to be trading, because it's a Proverbs 31 woman's job. So as a wise woman build her house, a foolish one tear it down. Okay, so by this was in April of 2016 when I started trading. By August of 2016, I paid off my Mercedes CLS 500, and it's noted on Facebook. You have to go through the stories and look for it. And September, I paid off everything on my credit report, got my house out of foreclosure, and I was going to be a real estate investor instead of a real estate agent. I didn't want to work like that no more. I bought a house in Atlanta that was a 6-bedroom, 3-story, walkout basement, corner lot in a gated community for $5,000. I put about $15,000 in it. It was valued at $350,000. I sold it for $275,000. We purchased 27 acres of land for our church to build on our edifice. And we paid off the other church, remodeled it, and we're in negotiations now. We were about to start building, but then during that time, President Trump was the president at the time, and he had put all these sanctions out, and so the prices went straight up, and God said, just wait. So we did. We have 27 acres of land. We are getting ready to build, and I'm so glad we waited. We're building a senior citizen facility. We're building a veterans housing facility. Income housing, we're building that. We're building an academy, which I already have one, Faith Christian Academy, but this one is going to be Legacy Prep Academy, to where we're building to teach entrepreneurs and teach kids how to trade. And also we in talks with Scott and White right now about building on the land a medical facility right there on the land. And get this, everything is paid for. God said, "Oh no, man." And so it may have took me a little bit to get there, but we don't owe no man. We don't have to sell fish plates, chicken dinners. You can if you want to, but my church is backed by Forex. I have my finance department, 3 people in my finance department that's trading an account for, outreach, building funds, things like that, and for each auxiliary to raise money so that the church can freely receive the gospel. By December 31st of 2016, 8 months later, my value was at $1.3 million. To this day, my $40 still work for me. I have created 17 millionaires in the past 4 years. To me, this became ministry to me because it's written. Because I knew I was in a man-made company with a God-written skill set. I couldn't lose. Anything that you do for God is the only thing that's going to last. This is backed by the word. It's been around for 2014 years, and I know Bitcoin is on the rise and all of that stuff, and it is. It's going to rise and it's going to fall, just like everything else. Everything comes full circle. There is nothing new under the sun. If you are not trading and you're looking for another stream of income, but can't leave your house, when have you ever heard of the whole world shutting down at one time? And nobody could go anywhere else. That's because we are a busy industrial nation. All we do is work, work, work. There was time where things was not open on Sundays, and we don't give God his time. We don't give him his time like we used to. So that's why, and this is just my thoughts. That's why I believe God shut the whole world down at one time, to let you know the money is not in your job. The money is not in them stores. You have to take the time and give back, because every knee gonna bow and every tongue gonna confess. Listen, you have to keep going. I am a cancer survivor. In the middle of creating millionaires, Satan came upon me and gave me stage 3 cancer. And I didn't know it. Mike was there at the last time when I got sick. Mike and Bree was here in Texas with me. And I couldn't even go down to teach. But Mike knew. He knew what to do. He knew what to do. And I trusted 300 people unto him. He taught them while I got rushed to the emergency room because I didn't know what was happening to me. I go to the emergency room and find out I had stage 3 cancer. I get operated on. I beat it. I survived. And then I get hit with COVID. And I don't go nowhere. I stay in the house to make sure I don't get it. But then I get hit with COVID. And I survived. But people were still becoming millionaires. And I was still preaching the word. And Mike would tell you I was sick taking chemo. But I would get on here and I would show people how to trade. I would give them the scriptures and the word. And I was encouraging them because I knew that if anything was going to happen to me, I needed to build this legacy and do all that I could for God to help free his people from financial bondage. 17 millionaires in the past 3 to 4 years. God has never shut this world down that I know of, just to get your attention, to let you know it's not in man, it's in him. In him I move and have my beings. So I admonish you on today. I hope I was able to encourage your hearts. Don't want to keep you on here long, but everybody needs to be traded. It's a God-written skill set. I believe that's a part of the wealth transfer. This is how the church can go out and do what you're doing and draw people in. And they're going to come in and say, how you doing what you're doing? But how you got what you got and you're not doing what we do? Oh, we're trading foreign currency. This is what God commands of us. And you saw in Matthew 25, where the latter part, where he cast that servant out because he was unprofitable. He went to his servants. Now, the poor you're going to have with you always. Everybody's not going to receive it. But if God has pricked your heart, and this is not a fly-by-night. This takes time. God did that for me for a reason. He did that for me to help me get to where I need to be. We have already made a lot of mistakes. I've already made a lot of mistakes. I can tell you what to do and what not to do. And you know, some people learn by trial and error. You know, it is what it is. But if you can go to school for 12 years to qualify to make minimum wage, at least learn how to trade for a year to set your family free. To set your family free. All of my kids trade except for one, and she's in the military, so she just invests in Bitcoin. My daughter, the 4-year-old at the time, who's now 16, has been trading since she was 11 years old. She has her own bank account. Now her trade account is up under me. She has her own money. She buy her own school clothes, her own supplies. She buy all of her stuff. Any trip she go on, she got money to fund it. She will be a multi-millionaire. She's already one now, but don't know it. And you know, you can't tell kids everything because maturity-wise, she ain't there. She don't even know it, but it's been set aside. But I wanted to come and encourage you today, and I hope I've been a blessing to you, and I hope you received the word. If you received the word, it has already been a blessing, because that's what it is. I thank God for you. Thank you, Bishop Baylor, so much for having me on. Guys, if you're interested, or follow me on Instagram, it's my name, Dr. Kathy Kirkland. You can go to my website and take a look at it. And I'll give you the same testimony and everything. It's at ibuildlegacies.com, or get with Mike Waller, and he will help guide you in the way that you need to go. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I love sharing the word of God, and I wish you the best of luck and great success. May the blessings of God be upon you. May you go out and turn this world upside down and do what others have not done, so that you can draw all men unto Christ. So Bishop Baylor,